What's up, crypto world? How y'all doing out there? It is Friday night. Brand new month here, November 2nd. This is No Noise. I am your host, Z-Rex. And we do this show live most of the time. Hope y'all been loving all this price action that we've been seeing in the markets. But not the crypto markets. I'm talking about in equities. In traditional markets, they have been moving like crazy. If y'all haven't noticed. Let me just pull it up just in case you haven't. I'm not sure how you could miss it. October. One of the worst Octobers we've had in a while. Pretty brutal. There's a daily chart right there you can check out. A little shakeout in the beginning of the year. Kind of same deal here. Pretty gnarly move for sure. Caught a lot of people off of guard. Most definitely. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show though, in detail. First, we like to start off with that good old crypto. Been fanning through some charts here today, checking some stuff out, which we'll jump into real shortly, but I did want to just mention a couple things that I saw across the news wires. Morgan Stanley called Bitcoin institutional asset now. That's pretty cool. Good old MS. It's a large bank. That's like Goldman Sachs and ICE with backed around the corner. That's pretty interesting. Lots of the big money is admitting it, although I think BlackRock came out and the CEO said, well, we got to wait until it's really accepted as a real product. Yeah, whatever. He'll just be late to the party. That's okay. One other thing I wanted to touch on and follow up on was the October surprise stuff that we talked about early last month. And I went through October and showed y'all the ranges for that. And if y'all want to see that, you know what? Let's go ahead and just pull it up right now. Check that out. All right, so, and what we're going to be focusing on right now is this box here. Whoops. This one. So the October surprises, as you can see, these are the ranges, and the parentheses around it just means if it closed up or down that month, or for October that year. Not necessarily that it closed down 35%. That was just like peak to trough ranges. So as you can see here, we just finished out a slightly lower October for 2018 at only about 11.5% range. By far the tightest range in all of October's. So it wasn't really any kind of surprise. It was just more compression and pull your hair out boringness. I know a lot of y'all are feeling that way. Again, we talked about it several times. You know, people are getting into stocks and trading traditional markets because they are bored with crypto. And this is just kind of reiterating that through this price action of only 11.5% range, which is super tight just for Bitcoin period in a month, you know. So that continues. Sometimes I'm just lost for words that is continuing. You know, it's not on this chart here, but just real quick, you can see kind of the triangle, right? You got like the basic triangle. I have it drawn out better on other charts, and it comes up like that somewhere. But is this like price action? The apex is coming up real soon, so it's like we just go sideways through it until backed, which is December 12th, I believe. And I believe that is the official date. I'm pretty sure. Oh, can't move it like that. Let's go back to these. Oops, maybe if I can get over there. Here we go. Yeah, so as you can see, by far 11.5%. And here are all the other ranges of October. So more compression, and by half to 16, roughly half. I'm gonna just round that one. But yeah, so again, what a surprise. Obviously not really. Let's jump over to market cap. Oh, look at that. Since the last video, pretty much the same. A little bit. No, pretty much the same. You know, a few billion we're not even really going to count. And you can even see that here in this 6-month chart on the market cap. I mean, down, you know, this is definitely downward trend here for sure. Gets a little bounce, sells off more, gets a little bounce. And you'd think it would have already sold off some more, but it's not. That's interesting. And there's some interesting price action we're about to jump into that happened over the last 24 hours that I want to point out. But yeah, you can just see this in general market cap compression, compression, compression. It don't stop, can't stop. And I know that's somebody else's favorite song. I probably just said it perfectly. Haha. Let's see here. 200. We gotta do a little filter there. What you like to do? See some big movers. I'm sure BAT will be on the top. Yep, they got on Coinbase if y'all didn't see it, which is interesting. A lot of people laughed about the BAT getting on Coinbase. Well, there it is. It definitely happened. Let's look at it on a chart real quick, see what's cracking. Yeah, it's had a nice run here in October, pretty much all October. Going from a mid 2,000 sats up to a little over 5,000 up here in this announcement that I got on Coinbase. And that was kind of just out of nowhere. There were rumors and stuff like that, but they just dumped that earlier today. That's mostly what this pump is for. Do be careful on those. Those Coinbase pumps are pretty damn vicious. You know, everyone gets excited. They're like, oh shit, I'm buying right here, dude. Look, it's on a dip, man. Well, I'll tell you what I'll be doing, and that is not buying it. Not now, that is. Let's put some horizontals on here, because we don't have any. Always got to have those. Just to see, yeah, it was bullish back here on this first bar, which coincided with the purple exponential moving average. That's the 144, so that was pretty good there. Missed that trade completely. Even popped right after some long signals, and that is here in the power zone on the daily, and also here on RSI, plus being above the purple. I mean, that's what we look for, guys, is lots of confluence and stacking indicators to where you have very low risk and high probability. So you can nip it in the bud quick when you're wrong, and hopefully just ratchet up your stop ever so slightly when you're right. Big volume right here, guys. Look at this candle. Wow. I'm on a 4 hour here. Let's zoom in on an hour. So most of that's in an hour. Wow. That's 59 million. That is crazy. When was the last time we even saw volume close to that? That's what I thought. Never. This is more than double. And this is off Binance, though, so that's not the longest one. Let's go look at it on the Trex. That'll give us probably the most data. Yeah, okay, there we go. Good old Binance. This goes back to about September. Nope, sorry, August last year. Big old dump. It is very notable volume, though. Same volume as about here, which was a pump and dump. Same here. Did have some follow-through, though, but then ultimately just sold off. And the last time you saw volume like that will be all up in this cluster here, when it was pretty much at the all-time lows for the last part. Which is actually, wow, that's interesting. Looking at this chart, BAT kind of did shitty compared to the rest of the market. It was roaring here. And, I mean, they did have the late December roar, but they were definitely kind of laggards to the party. As y'all can see, though, there is hardcore resistance right there. And let me change this, because that is not the right color. That'll be confusing. There you go. So, yeah, you can see it touch pretty much this general resistance area. Yeah, dangerous to get long here, as I said earlier. Won't be touching it. Just checking out the chart. And it definitely had some good signals back over here in middle of October. Showing some relative strength, especially on the DMI. And then once it broke above the longer term moving average here, which is the red line, and then you have also confirmation with RSI and DMI all at the same time, again, led you to a pretty nice little mini pump here. You can see this made, this is like a nice, yeah, this is total gap up. This is getting sold. Faux show. Be careful. If you rode that, good job. I would be taking profits there. Yeah, Bitcoin Cash, I noticed that earlier this evening when I was going through some stuff for the show. Big mover. As y'all know, I do like Bitcoin Cash a lot. I do think in the next run-up, it will move higher percentages than a lot of the bigger coins will. And it's also very hated, which I love. It's one of my favorite things about it. Just like Ripple was super hated forever and was one of the best performing currencies last year. Ah, yes. When something sucks and everybody thinks that, or when something sucks because everybody thinks that, they are usually wrong. And in a restaurant that I operate down here, I use something called MenuFi. It's pretty cool. You can take Bitcoin and now Bitcoin Cash, and that has actually been around for 4 or 5 years. It's pretty cool. Of course, you know, not many people pay in Bitcoin, but And then worse enough, not many people accept it. So even if I did take it, like where I can't go buy and spend it with my vendors yet, that is changing. And I'm kind of watching it grow underneath the surface, which is interesting. And Bitcoin Cash is there, so do not sleep on them. Stellar, also big mover. Digibyte, Decred, Bitcoin Gold, that's still around. Oh, that's silly. Let's just go look at Bitcoin Gold, just because that's hilarious that that still exists. There's Bitcoin Gold on Bitfinex with longs and what the hell? Is that a different Bitcoin Gold? Shit, surely not. That would be crazy. Well, looks like that's probably the case. Let's go to the 3-day because there's not that much data. This just got totally dumped. This was like a dividend payment for Bitcoin. Fork it off, get paid. Everyone gets paid, releases the funds, and poop it out. Done. And that was kind of vulgar language there. But it's pretty much what happened, you know? I mean, it sucks, but this could be setting up for a little inverted head and shoulders, and we do have most of the pattern. I don't even like to think about it until we get, you know, at least 60% or so, 70% of the way. We are just kind of basing. It needs to make this pretty much on this candle, but just kind of seeing that there. I don't really care about Bitcoin Gold, but I am a little bit interested that it's on Bitfinex with leverage. That's pretty crazy. Neo up there, so some decent movers in the last week. Pretty much all crap except for Bitcoin Cash, BAT, Bitcoin Gold, and Steam. It has been kind of just stable, so not too shabby. Let's jump over. Oh, Dominance still floating around, you know, 53, 54. It's been hovering there for forever, it seems like. All right, let's just jump into Mama Bear now, the BTC. We're going to start over on Bitfinex, but then we'll go to Bitstamp because I think it's more relevant what I want to show you off of there. All right, especially since we know that this action was some tethered funkiness or whatever it was, but we know that all the other exchanges do not have this, and they never actually broke out of this triangle that's been forming. So, and I'll show you that real quick if we go over to the stamp. Okay, there you go. See, the wick of that candle actually barely tapped the top of that trend line. So, it's not way up here. Very different gig. So, and notice how they all stopped at the 21 on the closing bodies. I mean, this being under this means bears have control, even if it's slight control, they do. And so they still do, right? We are trying to press up against it, and we're testing that now. And during the rest, or this coming week here, into middle of November, we are coming right up into that trend line. So this is going to be pretty serious because this isn't price action forced, right? It's not moving up like this is over here, right? Like this one or this one or anything like that. This is kind of just from going sideways, and it's going to be forced to hit it no matter what it does, right? And so now we're in the vicinity. A very large move is coming here, most likely. Of course, we do have this sideways action, and I joked earlier about it just going sideways through the apex. It wouldn't surprise me at this point, but you know, everybody is kind of like almost throwing the towel in, so to speak. One thing that is kind of looking nice here, that price action on the 4-hour for the bulls case has been consistently hovering above the 55 exponential, and of course obviously the 21, but it's been holding that, getting rejected right now, and it has been for a long time by the purple 144, but we are compressing into this area. I know that's nothing new, but since we're so much closer to it now, I think it's definitely, if you have positions on, you might want to do some management, go through some stuff, check it out. You know, maybe hedge if you're into doing that. Get a little bit more neutral. You know, kind of, this is like a good chance to do that because you don't want to get caught with, you know, your pants down because you just hoped. Hope is not a strategy, okay? I know CNBC and everybody says just to hodl. Hodling will likely piss you off more in the long term. What if you hodled from like 500 or something all the way to 20,000, and then now we're down to here, and you just saw like all that money evaporate? It might piss you off and you might close out. So that's why I don't think hodling is really good for most people. You got to take some of the money off, and then you can always just buy back in later, right? But anyway, we're getting this nice compression here on the 1 hour, and the 1 hour did get and break above into the power zone for a little bit. So on the shorter time frames, the bulls are trying to show a little bit of strength. What we're ultimately going to need to see, though, is on this 4 hour is for them to really get in the power zone. They've just been teetering on it with this price action right above the 55, and that should time up with the purple. If we don't get above, we have massive resistance at about 6,500, and before that, since this trend line is so much closer, 6,500 is up around here where the red exponential is, and where I have this alert set. Because that's just been, you know, if we couldn't break over that, then it's no even point in thinking about getting bullish. It's just defense mode. So we are still in that same type of mode, but we are really close. Let me show y'all. Really close. So you could say on Bitfinex, which does a lot of volume, it is retesting a breakout on that trend line. And you can see that real clear on the 4 hour as well. And it is in the power zone. So that is interesting to me. And that's what I really wanted to bring up and show y'all, is that we haven't had, like, we haven't been in the power zone, and the RSI hasn't been above 50 consistently all the way back until, you know, this pump back here. So it has been a couple of weeks at minimum to where there was even a hint of the bulls retaining some control. You could slightly argue maybe right here around the 20th, so maybe 12 days, whatever, if you want to get too granular there, but roughly about 2 weeks. And all of this price action is looking fairly good. Again, this trend line needs to hold, and look at this. We've been watching the 250 zone for a long time as a good support, and to the T pretty much it held it and got bought up. All back here it did as well. And y'all know the line in the sand that has not changed because there hasn't been enough data to change it. 6150 is the super line in the sand. But as we get closer and closer to this apex, this upward trend line, maybe give it a little bit of cushion, like 50 to 100 bucks, is probably your best bet to keep watching and manage risk off of that, is what I'm going to be doing. Let's go to Ethereum. Looks very bullish on the 4 hour on DMI, so that's nice to see. And you are clearly above 50 on RSI and above the 55. So Ethereum is actually looking pretty good. It looks like it wants to come test up here, you know, to 205, 210 area. And that'll likely be kind of see if we can get like the push from there. But I'm expecting it to come up here and test this purple exponential. And if we can get to that, then we got a real good chance of popping up to the middle of this line. So depending on where that happens here in the next, or if it does happen here in the next couple weeks, that could be, you know, 10, like 3 to 10% pretty much. So there is some opportunity coming through here. On Ethereum, we're seeing that. Let me go to a dollar, the daily. Still underneath the 21 exponential, so can't get too excited yet. Of course, the daily trumps most everything, but on the lower time frames, it is noteworthy that there is some momentum building. And you can see even on the hourly here, they got in control back right after this little dip, little Halloween scuffle, but that dip got immediately engulfed and bought with volume, so it is pretty much negated. You don't need to worry about that. In my opinion, this floor again still resides. It is very strong here, about 198. So Ethereum looking pretty strong. Actually has strong internals, so it's definitely noteworthy. Litecoin will probably be the same, I'm gonna guess. Yep, not as strong. So Litecoin's, it looks like Ethereum is kind of leading us. The one thing that is stronger about Litecoin, though, is above the half part of its channel. And let me zoom out so you can see that. And that channel goes all the way back to the beginning of the year. Pretty much just mid-September, mid-December in the giant pump. So that is showing some good strength. Ultimately, though, we are still below the daily 21s. That will be the super confirmation of moves popping up to at least the 55 exponential and possibly the upper parts of a lot of the channels, which are coinciding with the purple 144s on most of the majors. And on a smaller granular level, you can check that on the 4-hour, and I think that those targets are pretty reachable. You might be like, well, that's not that much. Well, hey, baby steps, man. You got to start somewhere. Most of the time, we don't just do these weird, it was like a special Batman formation or something, but yeah, you know, those don't happen all the time. So most of the time, price is moving fairly orderly, and especially as of late. I know it's been very exciting. All right, again, I don't know what BitSo is. I've been meaning to look into that. Let's see, Ripple. Don't want to talk about Ripple's chart. Is actually looking very bullish to me, relative, and not a shocker. It has been showing relative strength in this market on a chart, purely on a technical basis. And if we look at it on the daily, it's very compressed, no volatility. I mean, we have been sandwiched for about 2 weeks, all between the moving averages. So this is going to be, I'm expecting Ripple to almost move really fast out of nowhere before the majors do. And I guess maybe Ripple is a major. Oh, what's up, Josh? How's it going, buddy? I didn't even look at see if people were listening. Just kind of was in my zone there. A Mexican crypto exchange based on the Mexican peso. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, put any tickers in here if you want me to check them out, Josh. Appreciate that info there. Yeah, they must be big enough because TradingView added them, so they must be doing something partially right. But yeah, it's compression here, getting it in. Ripple, though, on that lower time frame action like we've been looking at, it's bullish on the lower time frames, but it's also above every single one of its moving averages. And that's a very big difference than all the other coins at the moment. And that is pretty much true on the hourly. Well, barely. We do have 22 minutes still left in this hourly, so we'll just call it pretty much holding all of them. But importantly, it's above the longest term red one here, which it has already tested once. Coming for another time, it looks like, possibly. But on the 4-hour, it is looking pretty damn good. So, and on the daily, it's not really underneath the 21 exponential. It kind of is the 21 exponential right now, prices, except for this little blip right here. Yeah, this is looking nice, though. I kind of like the idea of giving long some rips. Let's go check out Ripple's cousin, or little brother, or whatever the hell you want to call it. The Stellar. From the guy that was so stellar and created Mt. Gox, had to just leave Ripple because he was just too good. Which is kind of crazy if you don't know that Mt. Gox thing. Here we go. Nice little trend line. And that only goes back to May. That's not the longest. Let's go to a different damn chart. Let's go to Bittrex. Where's Bittrex? I don't see it. I can't find it. There's Bitcoin. Oh, there it is. Alright, get some Mo data. So kind of similar to Bitcoin's chart, really. Kind of doing that same basing here with these lower lows, or lower highs here, kind of compressing. Looks a little different. It almost looks more like Bitcoin's chart than it does Ripple's chart. Let's zoom in a little bit. Wow, so Stellar is looking pretty damn awesome here, or stellar, if you will. Look at that, breaking out on some nice volume. Not sure what's going on there. If there's some kind of news thing or whatever, but don't really need news. It's breaking out technical levels. So now support on this, you're kind of in long mode on this. Support is, let's go to the 4 hour for the better support. Support is going to be around 23.5. So that's looking pretty good. Stellar is getting some love right here, going into the bullish zone. And wow, even the RSI is breaking above 70. So there's not other coins that have been doing that yet. So XLM and Stellar are looking pretty bullish right here. So keep an eye out on those guys. Let's go over to privacy coins. Good old Monero. Oh, look at that. Monero on the 4 hours even getting a little bit bullish. It's in the power zone on DMI, above 50 RSI. Battling right with the 144 purple exponential. So it looks like it's about to... This looks like it has legs to get up here to like 110 for sure. Monero has been finding pretty good support around the $100 level for pretty much the past couple of months, so that's very noteworthy. You had this little blip here back in August down to about 80, but overall, like an average, you can see there's kind of about a mean here, which is about 1 hundo. Being bullish on, let's see, oh nope, except for on the daily. Okay, so it's not as bullish as like XMR, I should say Stellar, because that's confusing me. XLM, XMR, XRP. So Stellar versus Monero, but Monero does look like it wants to test up here to that 110 level. We'll see what it does. If it can get through that with some more momentum on this daily, we easily can test up here to 125. So that looks pretty nice. 100 is the floor. 90 if you want to be a little bit more risque. Let's go to Dash, see what Dash is looking like. Oh, is that what it is, Josh? Okay, so that's kind of like pre-hype. Hey, it might be happening. I mean, they might start just barraging coins and being like, oh, XLM's on there. You know, Ethereum Cash or whatever the crap. Bitcoin Gold they can throw on there. But, yeah, that's that would be an interesting sign, too, if they started doing it kind of fast. Spank had a really bad outage a month back. How's it recovering? We'll go check that out here in a second after I finish up Dash real quick. Alright, so Dash, don't have my horizontals on. Let me throw them on real quick. Bam, bam, bam. Oh, neutral daily. So it's looking kind of like everything else. Let's see if it has any strength on the lower time frames. It does not. It's actually kind of weak all the way around. I mean, you're pretty much in the weak zone on both DMIs. Bears have a slight disadvantage. So the bulls are in like very minimal control here. Kind of just gonna wait on this one. I think the other ones I highlighted earlier are a little bit better. Man, but this looks like it is charging up for a big move though, for sure, like more than the other ones. When you have DMIs both really low like this, it's real easy for one of them to just snap up right here or snap to the downside like this. See, there's two perfect examples of it being compressed down there. So, well, maybe not perfect. This would be a better. This wasn't a perfect example for the long side because that was out of nowhere when it was bearish. Here's one right here, and then just out of nowhere, bulls came in and ripped this sumbitch all the way to 220. Dang. Yeah, you know the Coinbase employees are definitely getting it in there. Like, that's like guaranteed, man. That really is. I mean, they're just sitting there hearing it, too. I don't think most of it's malicious, but hell, I'm pretty sure most people, if they overheard something like that in an office, would probably go to their computer and do a little scoopy. I would think. Oh, EOS. We skipped EOS. We usually have that one in the lineup. Let's jump over there real quick, and then we'll go spank it. Alright, EOS, wow, is looking actually really good. I'm glad I remembered this. EOS coming up, kind of like XMR is. It is in the power zone, and the bears are getting into the weak zone, so this is a good setup. There might be a little poppy pop around the corner here. I don't expect anything huge, but let's see. Daily, hardcore resistance, so it's 615. So You can probably split that for like a target if you were thinking of a long position. Something like, let me drag this over, do a little dancing around here, like that. Scoopy, Scoopy indeed. I would even, since you had this wick get sold off and these bodies get rejected, I could pull this down. I think this is a decent type, you know, kind of trade setup right there, roughly. You get about 2.5 to 1. It's not ideal. I usually like 3 to 1, but hey, you don't always get what you want, right? Let's see. Oh, hey, Josh, don't forget, Vegas is this next weekend. I don't know if you're still thinking about doing that, but I just sprouted in my mind for a second. All right, let's go to Spank It. We'll probably look at that on a Bitcoin pair. Horizontals, bam, bam, and bam. Wow, weird. Maybe there's more data somewhere. Hold on, let me just search through here. Nope. Spank chain. Oh, I'm sorry, not Spank coin. Let's just look at it on the dollar chart, see what it looks like. Yeah, I guess it's okay. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. Alright. Doesn't look near as bullish, though. It actually looks bullish on the Bitcoin pair, but it does not look bullish on the... I can't imagine Spank is on Bitfinex. I'm assuming this is Spank chain. Josh, if it is the one on Bitfinex, I'll switch over there, but... on the daily, Spank coin, or Spank chain... Ew, yeah, on the 4 hour it gets real noisy. On the daily it's like kind of bullish, but as you can see though, this isn't really valid. It's not working too well, that's kind of interesting. You might have to just go with basic trend lines on this one. Some of the coins just don't have enough volume for that because some of the calculations in these do have that involved, so maybe that's part of the deal. So this, you might want to just go straight on 21 and 55s, just a basic deal and basic price action. But right now you got this local low at 500-ish. Pretty much that's about it. I don't really... It's not really recovering, it doesn't look like. It had a little pop, I guess, but... I guess you can't hate it as long as it's above 500. So, you could buy it on dips to like the 6s. And, you know, to be fair, it only went down to like low 500s for this little cluster of time right here. So, I mean, you know, really it's like mid 6s is kind of the floor. So, as long as it kind of holds 6-ish. It's probably not the worst thing, but there's not even really good pumps in here. They're all pumps to get out to create liquidity is all this is. So I don't really like, I won't be trading it. I don't really like anything in that. All right, let's go over to equities because they have been super relevant volatility wise, and they're kicking that arse over here. Let me look at something real quick. All right, so equities, we did put, this is interesting. I thought maybe one of these would happen yesterday, but it happened today. This is like a little spinning top here. It usually indicates kind of confusion in the market, and if you trade equities and you trade it today, that's exactly what happened. It was very confusing. Apple missed pretty good and talked about how they're not even going to report their iPhone or iPad or anything sales anymore. I guess that doesn't matter. Who needs to report your sales numbers, you know? So that was kind of weird to me. I don't think that's a very good sign. And if we look at it on this hourly here, you can see it popped way in the after, like, so this was, yeah, what was it, yesterday? Let me zoom in here a little bit. I think NASDAQ will actually be better since Apple's in there. Here we go. November, you have this run up, and then Apple reports, and then this happens. This little mess right here. Slapped. And then out of nowhere, I guess a tweet comes in or I don't even know what the hell it is. You know, y'all know I don't give a shit about news. Something happens, and this just rips face all past this. Now this is a really interesting move because not on this chart, on my personal setup chart, I have a box drawn roughly right about like this. And it got as my resistance box, and it pretty much targeted right on, and I drew that like back over here in this price action, and it pretty much got right to it on like a freakish after hours session that got sold off in the next day. Very weird price action. So it was very confusing kind of for everybody, I think, that's trading equities. And, you know, also people have just been used to buying dips, and that's it. It seems like the market regime is changing a little bit. You know, this could just be like a new dip. We are still inside the this trend line that goes all the way back to 08, 09 bottoms, and we are finding support around the longest term moving exponential. This red here bounced heftily off that, but this is just, these are bear market rallies. These happen and they're face rippers and they suck. And that's just because it's easy and everyone's extra emotional, so they don't want to close their shorts and all kinds of things. Like, and this is good. This is good trading. You just have to be a little bit more nimble and shorten your time frame, I think, is the best way. Maybe lower your usage, like how much you're trading with, like smaller sizes, and be a little bit more nimble, because like, this happens all the time. And likely, even if you got good short here and hit this, and then this happened the next day, you'll probably close it out because you're going to be like, oh shit, I don't want to lose money. And then it might continue through like it kind of did on this one. Yeah, but the largest like single day moves, I believe, have all happened in the major bear markets and equities. So keep that in mind. So this is nothing to me but a little liquidation break, as you can see, getting stalled out pretty hard at the 21 exponential on the daily. On the 4 hour, it got stopped right at the 144, so that's lining up. No one really had any control for the last 2 days. It's still pretty damn neutral. And if anything, this is just a little liquidation break. You can see right here, the bulls never got any strength, just like they never got any strength here. Those are indicative of liquidation breaks. And there's another form of TA that's really awesome that I have not shown on here, but maybe a few times, called Market Profile. And it made a formation this week that is usually, or it actually made it Thursday. It's usually for short covering rallies. And so people are just kind of adjusting, getting ready. And with Apple reporting such a weird thing, I don't think that we're quite out of the woods yet. But we could be. Let's let price tell us, and we're going to see that here easily next week. We have an election. We have the caravan coming in. We got all kinds of crazy stuff happening next week. We got the Fed meeting. Volatility is not going to go away, and we can tell that by, you know, the VIX here is staying up in this top range right there, from, you know, upper teens, 18 to 25-ish. We haven't seen that in a long time. All right. Here's the monthly VIX. You can see this goes all the way back to 1990, and we're up here kind of in the middle of a lot of this action. So I expect us to kind of stay up here at least through next week. Maybe Trump can tweet something really cool and special. All right, so on this, I have been selling a little bit of premium and options. Just because you kind of have to sell volatility, I feel like, when it gets really high like this and gets crazy. Most of those are losers right now, but they usually are losers in the beginning because, you know, fear will stick around for a minute, and then all of a sudden, but when it goes away, it's like, oh, it's amazing, and then everything's cool and we can go party and blah, 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 right? The one thing, though, is I still think we have a little bit of downside because the way this chart is constructed was almost exactly kind of what I wanted to see a week or so ago. You got this downward momentum sell-off rally right up to the 21, downward big sell-off to another support level and through a channel, or I'm sorry, a trend line that's been here since 2016. Breaks that, catches support there, comes back up on a bear rally, comes right underneath that trend line, which also coincides with the 21 exponential, and closes well below both of them. Now, it did close between the body of the previous day, so that's extremely neutral. It's almost like today, like nothing happened. So we really have to just wait until Monday. Monday could be really interesting. The last time there was an election trade, that was insane. It was when Trump got elected. The markets dropped like 5% within. I mean, it was like less than an hour. It was nuts. It was some of the fastest moves in price that I've ever seen. I'm glad that I was watching that when it happened. I won't ever forget that day. That's for sure. And you know, there is something like that on the table possibly next week. Everyone is real fidgety. Emotions are very high right now. So I want to get aggressively long. I really do. But I'm just waiting to get a little bit of confirmation, technically speaking. And we don't have that yet. And as you can see, that is shown on all of the indices. This is the Russell still coming and tagging the 21 exponential. As you can see here, the bears are cooling off and going back to the neutral, but the bulls are not even in the neutral zone yet. So even if we don't sell off big here, I'm still expecting a little bit of downside to freak some more people out next week. And ultimately, yeah, let's just kind of hold this 1450 area for the Russell, and you know, everything is good. And there's lots of ways you can structure long positions that have pretty low risk right here, because premium is fat. That's for my options traders out there. All right, let's go to oil. It has been getting mollywopped. Oil has been literally been getting murdered. Okay, we follow oil very closely. The bulls are just non-existent. They do not go sub 10 very often on a daily. You can see that only happened here once, happened here briefly once, and back here just for a little bit. And you can see they were all followed by very gnarly rallies. We are coming right to very major critical support, about 62 bucks, which is this longest term moving exponential. And when we were watching this too, you know, we were talking about getting long all through here, and this was failing, so getting short up here, taking off the longs. We talked about managing that, and I timestamp a lot of the videos, or all of the videos, so if you want to go back in this time frame and watch those, go check them out, please. And we had this just kind of sell off. This got accelerated really, really fast. I think this was the worst month for oil in the last 3 years, I believe. I think it was 3 years. Oh, I don't have Telegram open. I do have a little file that has like some crazy stats on there. There's all kinds of things we haven't done in a few years in markets, like all over the place, except for, of course, Bitcoin, where it didn't do anything. Yeah, coming up on super support here, though. We're likely to get a little bounce, probably just up to 66-ish to come back and test up here. Can't really get any more bullish than that. I'm just talking more of a relief bounce, because we are getting a little bit extended on the DMI here. And this was nice this is shaking out a lot of people. This is a big move. You can see on the 4 hour, it barely got above the 21 exponential 2 times during this whole sell-off from 74. So, had no upticks, really. It's been brutal. It definitely has hurt my strangle a little bit just because of the one-sided action. But that's okay. That happens sometimes. Not a big deal. Alright, let's go to gold. Oh, one thing I do want to talk about is Bitcoin. The Bitcoin shorts. I'm just going to say that out loud, so maybe it'll help me remember. Oh, that's weird. These blue dots making this little triangle thing. I haven't seen that in a while. It's almost kind of like making a diamond pattern here, right? Look at that. How funny. Anyway, this is looking pretty good. Gold has been acting pretty nice since we were talking about GDX's inverted. Let's just jump over there real quick. GDX's inverted head and shoulders here with kind of a little extra shoulder. But again, patterns that aren't perfect are usually the good ones, because not everybody is seeing them, right? They're a little bit more hidden. It also depends on the time frame you look at too, right? So this one moved. This one was good and already hit a target area of that 20s. And now it looks like it's trying to get a little bit more momentum. If you didn't manage any winners and we're playing this alongside, you know, maybe managing some of them now wouldn't be the worst idea. Back over to the actual gold price. Coming up here, 144 purple exponential on the daily is becoming pretty serious resistance, but it is getting bought up. Let's go zoom in a little bit. Yeah, price is above all the exponentials, so I pretty much am bullish on the gold for short term, as long as we're above 1220. Longer term, I still am slightly bearish, unless inflation really picks up, like 70 style, which could totally happen. I know if y'all shop around, prices of stuff are pretty insane right now. And we still do have this rounded bottom formation in place, so there is a chance that gold did bottom back over here, but let's not get ahead of ourselves quite yet. Let's let price kind of guide us. And if you see on the weekly, we are coming up on major resistance here at about 1240. So if we get on 1240, we're probably running up to 1300 on the weekly basis. So keep that in eye. Keep that in eye. I don't know what that means. I guess it's a new saying. Keep an eye out for that one. All right, Bitcoin shorts, before I forget about it. Look at this. This is something I meant to talk about earlier in the stream to go with all those other things. The shorts are falling off of a cliff right now with no price action. Okay? And we're talking about a lot of movement here. This is a lot of coins. This is from 31, 32,000, and we're all the way down to 27,000 now. So, you know, that's not just your average retailer that can, you know, get that many coins out of the market. So, and especially with no price action, if there was relative price action that could go to it, then that would be a different story. But given that there isn't, we break below this level a little bit more. You know, this is really interesting because we have been in this trend since August. And like I talked about in, I don't know, a week or so ago about this, I don't know if technicals really matter as much on here, but they seem to be kind of playing out. You know, coming up here, testing the 21 exponential, rolling off, getting the DMI in the bearish zone. So this is something I'm starting to watch a little bit more and putting technicals on shorts and other ratios in the market. So you'll know the overhead resistance at that 40K level has been solid as hell. And now breaking down like this with no price action is very interesting, to say the least. So for the final thoughts here, pretty much the same thing as I said earlier. Hard resistance at this 69 level, 6,900, 7K. Ultimately, those 65 is kind of the big shorter term one. We are not busting out of any other channels on other major exchanges, Coinbase, Bitstamp, etc. But we are slightly doing it, and it's more noticeable on the 4-hour on Bitfinex. So we are getting close to the apex of the triangle. We're so damn close. It's going to be this week, or I guess in this coming week, since it's already Friday. But y'all know what I mean. Coming in here by next weekend. The probabilities are very high that we have a big move. Now, this market could totally just juice us and just do this and flatline more. I hope it doesn't do that. It could totally do that, but the probability is low just off basic TA. That does not happen very often when you get to apexes, especially apexes that have been around for 6 months. So, and that's only the bottom part of it. It's been around, you know, the whole year pretty much on the top side, with even touches pretty much on both. You got about 7 or 8 up there. I don't know how you count this for touches though, so let's just like not count that. But you got 7 or 8 touches there, and then this one you got 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna count that as 1, 4, 5, 6, and you got 7 here. Pretty funny. That is super rare because when you chip away at each one and hit it each time, it makes it actually weaker. But how more neutral could it be when you've chipped away evenly at the ceiling and the floor? Pretty wild. With that said, happy trading. I hope y'all had an awesome Halloween. It was great for me. Had a lot of fun. Got a bunch of candy. Or the kids did. They did all the work. I'm just eating some of it, you know. up or down at the... I don't know, Josh. There's a couple of factors I went through in today's stream of there's a slight bullish bias, a little bit, but we're not seeing it on higher time frames yet, so I'm not getting too excited. I do have a little bit of small long speculative position that I put on some leverage right now, tiny position, just to see what happens, you know. But that's about it. But yeah, if you want to chat later, hit me up or something on the Telegram or whatever. Or my digits, bro. Old school, man. Well, with that said, again, this has been No Noise. I am Z-Rex. Y'all trade awesome out there. Have that good old risk management plan, otherwise you're going to lose. I've done it a bunch of times. It will happen. Well, much love. Happy trading. Peace.